It's Los Angeles in 1984, and a 900-foot rock jetty has just been built on Dockweiler Beach. It was built to protect the El Segundo oil refinery and its underwater pipeline that feeds its tankers just offshore. And for protecting the pipeline, the project was a major success. The only downside was that it totally wrecked a surf spot. So this is the curious tale of how an oil company destroyed and then tried to replace a lost surf break in Southern California. So back in the 80s, this was a popular surf break. If you guys lived there back then, let me know what it was actually like. Was Dockweiler Beach actually a fun wave, or was it pretty average? But long story short, the oil company Chevron built this massive jetty right through the middle of the break, rendering the previously punchy, fun peaks to shapeless closeouts. Before the jetty was even constructed, the newly established non-profit Surfrider Foundation fought a legal battle to stop its construction. But the project went ahead anyway, the waves stopped breaking, and locals lost a go-to. But there was a positive. As part of the agreement, Chevron was required by law to mitigate the loss of the wave. And at first, they basically tried to get away with building some new parking spaces and some showers in the parking lot. But Surfrider pushed for more, as those things obviously don't make up at all for the loss of the wave. But eventually, Chevron agreed to fund, at least partially, the construction of an artificial reef. This was the second ever project of this kind. The first was actually another reef in Los Angeles called Hoppy's Reef in Redondo Beach back in the 70s. But to be honest, that's another story for another video. But the project took time to get going, like a lot of time. And it wasn't until 1998 that an agreement was reached to create the wave. Chevron agreed to pay $300,000 USD toward the reef, and an engineering firm was hired to create a V-shaped reef. But that money, which was intended for both the design and the construction, was pretty modest and far below what experts suggested would be needed to actually make a successful surfing reef. Now, the regulation for its approval alone took 6 years, and 23 different government agencies had to clear permits, conduct environmental impact assessments, you know, all the usual boring stuff. It's also said that sand prices, which was a huge component of the artificial reef, actually tripled during this time as well, which made the project way more expensive than it was originally supposed to be. So aside from Hoppy's Reef, building an artificial reef for the sole purpose of wave riding was basically unheard of back then. I mean, as evidented by several failed projects of the same nature around the world over the years, building perfect waves artificially is really freaking hard. You know, as anyone who's tried to gain even a moderate understanding of a surf break will tell you, it's really hard to understand all the intricacies of what makes a surf break tick. So creating one basically out of thin air is really hard. The reef was named in memory of Tom Pratte, a Surfrider co-founder who had really pushed for Surfrider's involvement in this project to make up for the loss of the wave. But unfortunately, he died before the project got off the ground. Once Chevron's mitigation funds were eventually released, construction started with 110 sandbags being dropped from barges, so their tops sat just below the low tide level. So essentially, they created a V-shaped reef made out of these enormous fabric sand-filled bags, and the tip of the V pointed out to sea like this. And in short, the idea was that when swells came in to meet the tip of the V, it would peak up there and peel down the reef, creating perfect A-frames. The reef was completed in the summer of 2000, and officials involved with the project believed that even if it didn't create perfect waves, it might at least make the waves better than they were post-jetty. Later that year, the long-awaited Pratte's Reef was finished. The only problem was, it didn't work at all. Even before the reef was finished, surfers already knew that its construction just wasn't going to work. You know, it was placed too close to the shore, too close to the surface, and it was just really unlikely to create anything even remotely surfable. And with that, as the first winter swells hit Los Angeles, it basically buried all of the bags under more sand, tore some of them apart, and basically just wrecked it. After initial observations showed little to no impact, additional funding, including a $200,000 grant from the California Coastal Conservancy and another $50K from Surfrider, another 90 sandbags were added to make the reef bigger, but it didn't work. again. And the reef produced nothing more than mushy shore break closeouts. Monitoring by scientists and engineers found that between April and December of 2001, only one person even actually bothered to try and surf the reef. If you guys were around at this time and you lived there back then, let me know what it was actually like. Was it as bad as what I'm reading online? Was it literally not even a wave? But from the research I've done, no one even really considered it a wave, you know, it just wasn't surfable. Experts attributed the failure to several factors. The reef's size was insufficient, you know, Pratte's contained only about 1,350 to 1,600 cubic meters of material, a fraction of the volume coastal engineers consider necessary for a reef to actually work. There are also material limitations, so the geotextile bags chosen, you know, lacked the long-term durability of heavier materials like rock or concrete, and were just destroyed by swells. Dynamic seafloor, so the ocean seafloor around Dockweiler shifts constantly as sand moves with tides and storms, swells, etc. So a lot of the time the bags just got ripped open and displaced, and it just changed the shape of the reef, so it's just never going to work. And also there were budget constraints as well, so while Chevron did contribute $300,000, and with all the additional grants that got thrown in to make the reef better, there just wasn't enough money to create something that would produce really good waves. So in 2008, the removal process began, and divers worked for over 2 years to remove all of the ripped sandbags. And in 2010, the project was officially decommissioned. Though Pratte's failed to deliver, well, anything really, the project's broader legacy isn't just one of defeat. You know, we learned a lot from this failure, and I guess it's paved the way to many more successful projects around the world. I think there's 2 successful ones now, one at Palm Beach, one over in WA as well. If only engineers back in the UK in 2009 learned from this, we would have one in the UK as well. So if you want to find out more about another failed artificial reef, I'll leave it up there. So I guess like over time we've learned more and more, and if we can see more and more of these artificial reefs spring up around the world, there's more and more people surfing. So if we can just build more and more waves to accommodate it, that's a really good thing, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. I know it's a really old story, but it's one of my favorite things, like diving into these really unique, interesting stories and sort of throughout surfing history. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more. For now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.